Yes, so today's webinar is on understanding the Vedas. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from. But we're going to dive deep into the Vedas, which are known as the oldest books of wisdom of the entire world, out of the world, right? They are the source texts of Sanatana Dharma, practiced by Hindus all over the world. And although the Vedas are revered, respected, they're no longer studied or properly understood by most of the followers of Sanatana Dharma. Of course, we're trying to change that Hindu University of America, but instead, the conventional viewpoint of the recent past projects, the Vedas, as texts that are useful for only karmas, actions, and rituals, and therefore generally devoid of wisdom. That's a conventional viewpoint. I think we're changing that, and we're going to continue to do that. So in this webinar, Dr. Ramakrishna Naraswami will discuss both the action and the wisdom aspects of the Vedas. So this is going to be a great, engaging webinar. Please put in the chat where you're zooming in from. I'm going to introduce our special guest, our faculty, Dr. Ramakrishna Naraswami, just shortly. If you haven't yet put in the chat, please do. We got Prabhat Ji from Minneapolis. Thank you. Abhishek Ji from, why did Abhishek Ji join as this? It's okay. Abhishek Ji from, where are you from? Got lost. PJK from Salt Lake City, Utah. Pradeep Ji, thank you for joining. Gajendra Ji from Palm Coast, Florida. Kumar Ji from Chicago. Gopal Ji from New York City. Ria Ji from Syracuse, New York. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. Let me now Kamin Ji from New York. Glad to have you on as well. If you put in the chat now, I'll get to you later at a later break. We also have the poll going. Let us know if this is your first HOA webinar, if you've taken a course. And yeah, we'll get into the questions. You can put those in the Q&A box. But let me now introduce Dr. Ramakrishna Naraswami, who was brought up in Kerala. Yeah, he graduated with a BS in engineering from the College of Engineering at Trivandrum and his master's in tech from the IIT Chennai. He worked as assistant professor. He moved to the US and got his PhD from Texas Tech, Lubbock over there, and won the prestigious National Research Council, or he was awarded the prestigious National Research Council Foundation post, a doctoral fellowship. He worked for NASA. He started many companies. He's well known, I guess, in the space and aerospace and even automotive companies worldwide. But it is because he's currently retired, but it is because of his understanding and how he's been a Vedic practitioner since childhood. He's with us today. He's further studied, Vedic studies under Guru Gochin Srinivasa Iyer and continues studies by Svadhyaya, self-learning and self-study. But we again are glad at Hindu University of America to bring him on and share his knowledge with all of you through webinars, through courses. He's taught the 10 major Upanishads and so many other things. He does personal teaching, I think, out of your home where you used to. And he's been on a long journey. We're gonna get into that today in this webinar. His book, Understanding the Vedas, was published back in 2020. I actually saw your book being handed out at the Dharma and the Digital Age Conference in Atlanta. I actually picked up a copy. It's somewhere around here. So I'm glad to see that your work is permeating through society, and we've got this whole Hindu ecosystem that's now connecting and sharing. So with that introduction, let me hand it to Dr. Naraswami to get us started and helping us to understand the Vedas. Dr. Naraswami.
Let me start with two prayer mantras. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamastravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Srinvanyoti Dasadanam Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebir Vajinivati धीनाम वित्र्यवतु Om Sri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. With this, first of all, thank you, Ankur Patel, for a very excellent introduction. You have pointed out all aspects of who I am, so it is fairly easy for me to get started straight away. You have also given a good introduction to our Vedas. So with those, I am proceeding to begin by saying that, okay, can you all see me?
Yeah, we can see your video. Are you sharing screen?
No, not at.
Yeah, we can see you
can
clearly.
try this. Let me see. I have one or two slides I may like to share. So let me see. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get to the slides, no problem. All right, we got Sushma ji from Mumbai, Kumari ji from Houston, Hari Iyer from Santa Maria, Chitra ji from New Brunsfeld. There we go. And now we can see the topical outline slide. Professor Koshalia from India, thank you. All right, back to you.
Okay. So as Ankurji has mentioned, Vedas are the original books of wisdom known to mankind. The dates, we believe that it is over 8,000 years ago with recent archaeological evidence. It is not a simple picking up a number from thin air. There are archaeological evidence of the Harappan civilization, 7,000 BC, even though the peak of the Harappan civilization is around 2,600 BCE. The early days of Harappan civilization is now known to be 7,000 years ago, and Vedas are pre-Harappan, which means 7 or 8,000 BCE or earlier, so at least 10,000 years or more. But even taking a conservative viewpoint of the Westerners, they all credit the Vedas to be at least 1500 BCE or earlier. Even if you take the conservative estimate of 1500 BCE, why they're restricted to 1500 BCE, there are reasons. We don't want to get into that, but even taking the 1500 BCE, it is about 3,500 to 4,000 years earlier, the oldest books of wisdom. And Vedas consist of, however, because most people could not understand the Vedas, everyone immediately will say Vedas are written in original Sanskrit, Prakrit, or early Sanskrit, which is not even today's classical Sanskrit of Panini grammar. And many people did not know. Even those who knew, Vedas have multiple layers of meaning, layers of meaning for the words. And many times they use the external words to give the meaning for the common people. But if you go deeper and deeper, the guru will teach their students the deeper meanings. Then you understand the wisdom in the Vedas and all that. So as the Rishi period ended and Vedas came down over the to the present times, most of the understanding of the Vedas to the world came from English translations of the Vedas in the 19th century by Max Muller, hired by the British East India Company, and Wilson and Griffith of British authors. They all produced the first English translation of the Vedas based on Sainacharya's word-by-word translation published in the 14th century, which is in Sanskrit. So these scholars studied Sanskrit under Indian teachers based on their English understanding with the Sanskrit, what little knowledge they had of Sanskrit from their teachers. And they looked at the direct external meanings. And in many areas, they many areas, they were not able to fully understand the deeper or inner meanings of the Veda mantras, and they concluded that Vedas did not make sense. Vedas are the mumblings of ramblings of illiterate nomadic tribes, and it does not make any sense. And that type of English translation, and since most people started learning Vedas from English translations because they themselves do not know Sanskrit, so they cannot understand either Sainacharya or other deeper inner meanings provided by other scholars. So they all concluded Vedas are rituals and karmas, and the whole knowledge and jnana is in Vedanta. And then there was a Vedanta school started, Upanishads and all that, with the result that most people have not studied the Vedas. Most people have heard of the Vedas as the great source books of wisdom, yet people dismiss the Vedas as karmas and rituals and went after the Upanishads. Nothing wrong in studying Upanishads and trying to understand the jnana aspects as well. But Vedas also contain wisdom, and study of Vedas, because most people have not studied Vedas, either because they all believed that jnana is in Vedanta and Vedanta is the way to go, and they do not want to know about the karmas or rituals. So most people have not studied. So any comments that you hear from most people, oh, Vedas are rituals, before you accept such comments, please listen to people who have studied the Vedas and Vedanta and who are interested to provide detailed explanations of Vedas to all of you, so that you will get a correct understanding of the Vedas. And I will add one more sentence before getting into the topic itself of today's lecture. And that is, Vedas are the source books. Even Vedanta, Anda Veda, is what is contained in the Vedas. However, the Vedanta and the Vedanta scholars and the Upanishad rishis have explained that in a language better suited to the modern intellectual discussions and all that. Therefore, when you go straight away to Vedanta and the Upanishads are being explained, you feel, aha, we never knew this is the way to go, and people proceed in that direction. But we must all understand that the source for Vedanta is also the Vedas. So if you are all Vedantins going to study Veda, why don't you go to the source and first understand what the source says? And if it is difficult and there are not people to explain them very well to you, then of course the Vedanta suited to modern day explanations, we can go into that. So with these brief ideas, I'm going to talk about what are the Vedas, what is contained, what is the wisdom in the Vedas, why we should study Vedas. Of course, I gave you the foremost reason. First of all, because they are the original books of wisdom known to mankind. You must understand what wisdom is written in that. How did that get that name? And also you must ask yourself, or we must ask ourselves the question, how, if they were known as the original books of wisdom, how is in the 21st century or 20th century or 19th century, Vedas are said to be devoid of wisdom and they are just rituals? How did that transformation happen due to the ages? So we need to know first why is it called the original book of wisdom? Then we must know why is it today given such a feeling that there are rituals devoid of wisdom and that jnana is in the Upanishads. So let us first ask with that, and let me see whether I can share the.
Yes, and then you can go to full screen mode and maybe start at the start of your presentation.
Can you see this full screen?
It's not full screen yet. If you move your arrow to the bottom, the presentation, yeah, that button, just around there next to the size, the presentation button, it's on that bottom column next to, yeah, that one. So that'll go to full screen. And right now, if you click, yeah, and now we're on topical outline, right?
Yes. So I just, let me go back. Okay. So I will discuss this. What are the Vedas? What origin? I briefly mentioned about that. Preservation of origins from origins to present times. The Vedas not understood but revered. Because we have not studied, there is no formal classes offered anywhere. As Ankurji mentioned, HUA is one of the perhaps only organizations in the United States where you can get a proper 12-week study and understanding of the Vedas, and provided by, I am the present faculty member. As he said, I have been practicing Vedas since my Diksha days at the age of 11. And I found that the Vedas have helped me to rise to who I am and what I am today. But before getting into all those details, let us see what is in the Vedas. Condensed teachings and message of the Vedas. And Vedas consist of mantra. So mantras are verses, two-line verses as in Rig Veda, or prose sentences, short sentences, mantras, and they were revealed to rishis when they were in superconscious state in meditation. And what are the meanings of Veda mantras? Direct external meanings in Sanskrit, then English translations are available. Skepticism raised in English translations. Then those 19th and 20th century, that was the English translation was well accepted by all the people because that's the way they got their understanding. But in came the great yogin, Sri Aurobindo, and early 20th century, 1940, over 100 years ago, he wrote 24 monthly articles in his Arya magazine explaining the spiritual and psychological meanings of the Veda mantras. Until that time, the English translations were all based on the Sanskrit translation of Sainacharya in the 14th century. That is another point to understand. So even though the Vedas are 8,000 BCE or earlier, about 10,000 years ago, the very first word-by-word meanings, and that too in the Sanskrit language, was published by Sainacharya in 1367 current era. So about 700 years ago, the word-by-word meaning. So till that time, the Vedas were transmitted by orally. Veda mantras were memorized and transmitted from generation to generation, from Guru to Shishya, and it is called the Guru Shishya Parambara. The world itself has not known such a system. So these are all our rishis who designed all this system. Because what they said, if you document all these things, if the someone else take the documentation or someone burns the documentation, as you all know, the Nalanda University were burned by Khilji. And of course, recently, last week, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the new campus of Nalanda. So they thought that the best way to preserve is by oral preservation, transmitting it. So the original purity, and they took a lot of steps to ensure that it is correctly transferred. However, what happened was the correct preservation of the Vedas and the Veda mantras and the Veda mantra chanting happened. The explanations of the spiritual and the psychological meanings and the wisdom that disappeared with the rishis. And as time went on, people started forgetting, and they concentrated on the yajna. And after Aurobindo, Kapali Shastri, then Professor Kashyap, and I happened to meet Kashyap, and I started about 10 years ago, and we have closely worked together. And the full spiritual, psychological meanings of Aurobindo, Kapali Shastri, as translated by Professor Kashyap in 26 volumes, all the Veda mantras based on Aurobindo Kapali Shastri's spiritual and psychological directives. Professor Kashyap has translated 26 volumes. I have closely worked with Kashyap for the past 10 years, and I have understood the spiritual and psychological meanings in addition to my own Veda practice and the benefits that I seem to be getting without knowing. Why am I getting all these benefits? And I will focus them on. These are the essence. There is a spirit, Tadegam, the supreme spirit, that our self-aware universe, all physicists have stated that the universe have awareness of its own, and there is a spirit, the cosmic spirit. And along with the cosmic spirit, there are many other energies. You can consider them as a spirit, a person. Veda Mantra, Rigveda calls it Purusha Sukta. Purusha means that one. It is not a man, it is a spirit, it is an energy. You can also call it a Purusha. That Purusha is transcendent and immanent, and that controls all the processes that go on in the universe. And that same spirit is within each of us. We'll come to all those things as we discuss. There is the spirit, supreme spirit, or Purusha, which is described as Tat Egam. Tat means that, Egam means one. Not one in that sense, that one. We don't want, it has no name, you cannot define it. So Veda calls it Tadegam, Upanishad calls it Brahman, Bhagavad Gita calls it Purushottama. They are all different terminology used in these different texts, but they all mean the same thing. That supreme, that energy, that supreme energy that is present in the universe and that is present in each of us, along with many sub-energies, like there is wind energy, electromagnetic energy, many of them. They are all considered as devas, who are powers of light. Deva is a Sanskrit word. Div come from the Sanskrit word div. Div means shine, to shine. So devas are powers of light. Again, because people do not know Sanskrit, the devas are translated into English as gods. There itself, we lost the power of the word deva. Deva only says that it is a power of light, power of truth. So truth and light, the supreme spirit is also, supreme energy is also truth and light. Then along with the devas, powers of light, there are also in this universe, as well as within ourselves, dasyus. Dasyus are powers of darkness. So this universe is pervaded by a supreme spirit, and described by Purusha Sukta in Rigveda, Purusha evedagam sarvam yad bhudam yachabhavyam. Purusha eva idagam sarvam. So everything in this is only this Purusha, this spirit. There was nothing else. Purusha evedagam sarvam yad bhudam, whatever is in the past, yachabhavyam, whatever is going to happen, and what is the present. And that Purusha, along with the Devas, powers of light, and along the Dasyus are powers of darkness. The darkness you can think as within ourselves, we have the Shad Ribus, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. We can analogously consider these are powers of darkness. And what is these powers of darkness prevent the light of the Supreme Spirit and the other Devas to come to us. We need to get this energy. Now, for example, if you think all the whole universe with animals, with the plants and the trees and all of them require energy for them to grow. Where do they get that energy? That energy is available from the cosmic spirit, cosmic energy. We can also get that energy, but we are unable to receive that energy because this dasyus, or as we say, that even those who are studied Vedanta will know, they say that you cannot you cannot understand Brahman. Brahman is described as neti, neti, na iti, not that, not that. How do you know Brahman? When all your impurities are removed, the self reveals itself. Where did it come from? It came from Vedas. That spirit, what they say is, spirit and the Devas want to give positive energy to us. By that positive energy, we will be able to rise in consciousness levels. Vedas describe all of them, how to do all those things. But let me move on the topical. I think there are yajna. So the karma how we are to connect with these spirit and devas is through yajna. What is being described as karmas and rituals, and they have no value, wisdom, don't accept that simplistic explanation. They are all yajna. The word yajna, I will discuss some of the yajnas later. There are pancha mahayajna that we are supposed to do every day. Then Vedas describe the 7 lokas. They say, Prithivya Sapta Dhamabhihi. This world is divided into 7 lokas, Sapta Dhamabhihi. Dhamam means they are not physical division, but you can imagine as stratas, one over the other, 7, and they are given the names that we use in the pranayama mantra. Those who are doing yoga will know. We will say, close the right nostril, close through the left nostril, Om Bhu, Om Bhuvaha, Ogum Suvaha, Om Mahaha, Om Janaha, Om Tabaha, Ogum Satyam. So Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tabaha, Satyam. These are the 7 lokas. Prithivya Saptadamabihi. These are the 7 lokas. They are, you can imagine the world consisting of these 7 lokas, and we are all in the Bhuloka, or in the lowest of the 7, or loka number 1. Our aim in life is, by working with the spirit and devas, by connecting with the spirit and the devas, the supreme spirit, the Purusha, or the devas, the sub energies you may call, once the power of light, the dasyu, we all have these dasyus, and these dasyus are preventing the energy coming to us. Therefore, we live in the Bhuloka, which sometimes we have the powers of light when we have the excellent ideas and we want to help others and we want to do good for the society, community. That means we have more of the spirit and the devas in us. But when we say, no, I want to get even with that guy, I helped him a lot, that person is now hurting me. So then the dasyus are in command. So most of the time, the dasyus, the kama, the krodha, the lobha, moha, the mada, matsarya, because of that, we are not able to utilize these energies, and we live in this world with mixed truth and darkness or falsehoods, and we are not able to go higher and higher. So what they say is we can divinize our life. So these are all going to be as part of the discussions that I'm going to do. And we will talk about so with this this in the Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha. So what is the spirit? The Rigveda Sukta 10.9 talks about the Purusha Sukta, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrabad Sabhomim Vishwado Vrtva Atyadishtat Dashangulam Purusha Evedagam Sarvam Yad Bhudam Yachabhavyam Utamritatvaseshanaha Edanenatirohati. So Purusha is everything here. So we must connect with them. So how do we do that? How do we do that? By the Veda mantras. The mantra is a 2-line verse as in Rigveda, and the mantras are revealed to the rishis when they are in superconscious state. And there are mantras, about 10,550 mantras in Rigveda, then Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, Shukla Yajurveda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. Vedavyasa classified them in around 3000 BCE. Then all these Vedas have mantras. There are over 27,000 mantras, of which some of them are common in all these Vedas. So there are about 20,000 mantras. And the mantra is a Sanskrit word, manana trayate iti mantraha. By mind, trayate, it can protect you. So there is a protection by mantra. Just like we are taking medicine when we want to heal a sickness, in the same way, mantra also has a power to protect you. Aurobindo says, mantra allows you to see things that you are not able to see by your 5 organs. So mantra is a way to connect with the spirit or the devas, and you can invite the devas to yourself. And once you invite the devas, we will be able to, the deva will plant an emanation of the psychological power. Each deva is a part of the Supreme, but that deva has a specific psychological power. And we have different devas in Rigveda, Agni, Indra. These are the 2 important devas of Rigveda. Agni has 2,000 mantras out of 10,000 mantras in Rigveda, and Indra has 2,000 mantras. And Agni's psychological power is willpower. So for us to do any work successfully, to task a project, and if we want to complete that project, we need willpower. So we need to invite Agni. That is why in all our yajnas, the first person invited is Agni. We welcome Agni. So there are mantras to invite the Agni. And the very first mantra of Rigveda is Agnimi ile purohitam yajnasya deva mritvijam hota aram ratnadatamam. Agnim ile, I adore you, Agni. Purohitam, you lead us from the front. Purohita is also known as a priest, but Pura means front. Purohitam, you are leading us by the front. Yajnasya devam, you are the god of the yajna. Ritvijam, you are full of truth. Yajnasya Devam, Hodaram, you invite the other devas to the yajna, and Ratnadadamam, you will bring out all the dormant felicities in ourselves. That is the meaning of the very first mantra of Rigveda. By chanting this mantra alone, it is a start to invite the Agni. And the first sukta has 9 mantras that is given in my book. And in this course, we will be learning 1 mantra a day. We will complete the first sukta of the Rigveda, and all the participants will be chanting the Agni mantra. And before we invite other gods, we must always invite the Agni. That is why people still continue to do the Agnihotra, the ritual. I will come back to that about Yajna. I have already taken about 30, 40 minutes, so I will rush through. Briefly, I'll save the topical outline. So there are Devas, Agni, Indra, Soma, Surya, Saraswati. Saraswati is the power of aspiration, intelligence. Soma, power of delight. Surya, power of illumination. So all these devas, there are mantras for each of them. By chanting the mantra, you can invite the deva, and the moment you invite the deva, devas will always come. They plan the emanation. And the benefit of that, not only you will get the psychological power associated with the deva. For example, if you chant Agni mantra and invite Agni sincerely, "Oh Agni, come to me." Agni ayahi. Even simply stating in a meditative mode, in a very sincere mode, "Oh Agni, ayahi, ayahi, come to me." If you say that, Agni will come. And what is the beauty of the deva when you invite the deva? For example, if you go to a room at night and it is dark, what do you do? The first thing, we turn off the switch, the light, to remove the darkness. So in the same way, if we want to remove the darkness, why we want to remove the darkness? So that we can get this energy. Why do we want to get the energy? So in addition to whatever energies that you are able to display outside, some of them have more energy, some of them less energy, some of them intellectual energy, some of them have artistic talents like painting. Different people have different, come up with that. Those are all the whatever the human consciousness with which each is born. But you also have all the other psychological powers, but they are all dormant in you. And you are not able to, and they are all covered by the dasyus. So only by removing these dasyus. And how do we remove the dasyus? By inviting the devas. The moment the deva comes, the power of light comes. Don't consider deva as a god. That is God with a characteristic and all that. That is where the whole English translation has taken away the power and meaning of the Veda mantras. So Veda consists of Purusha, Supreme Spirit, and other energies. Imagine themselves to be energy. Those who want to be more scientific, they don't want to call it a Purusha, or even Devas are all energies. And this mantra is a way by which we can communicate with it. That is how the rishis have communicated with to invite the devas. So there are mantras for Agni, mantras for Surya. Gayatri mantra is for Surya. Tat savidur embargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yona prachodhyat. Oh, tat savituhu varenyam, you are adorable. Bargo devasya dhimahi, you are Barga, you are splendor. Give me some other dhiyo yona prachodhyat. Propel my the intelligence towards you. Why? Once Surya, power of illumination, comes in, then our dasyus, all our efforts, when we worship, when we do a yajna is, ya means striving for, nya means knowledge. So yajna really means you are striving for knowledge. Even though the normal communication given to us is that by doing a yajna or do a Gana Homa or Ganapati yajna, there are some obstacles that is not allowing you to get a promotion or get a job, or you are not able to get your daughter married and all that. Then if you go to priest will say, oh, do a Ganapati yajna, then he will remove the obstacles. So whether you take the external meaning of, if I do the yajna, that my obstacles will be removed, the priest has said, and lo and behold, when you do the Ganapati yajna, some of the obstacles will remove, you will get a job or a promotion that you thought through, all those will happen. What is really happening is, when you perform the yajna, when the priest chants the Veda mantras, you listen to the Veda mantras, and the priest is chanting the Veda mantras for that deva. First for Agni, because you have to have a Havan, they invite Agni first, then they chant the mantras for Ganapati, whosoever such a god is with such a psychological power. By those chant, those devas come. That is why you rise in consciousness level. To that level, during that time, the dasyus will go away, because when a power of light comes, the darkness will go away. So you can consider these mantras as we turning our own internal switches to invite the light. So whatever consciousness we came with, on top of that, so this is where the Vedas. So you may ask, hey, I know many successful people who not only don't do any Veda, but not only do any worship. Many of them are atheists. They are all openly flouting and attacking all these whatever and all that, and they are successful. Of course, they are successful. Whatever talents they are already visible, coming out, and they have used that talents. But have you thought about, if only they have also chanted and they have also taken the free energy available, they can rise in consciousness and they can do multi-level successes. So please don't think that's the only success you can achieve. Whatever you achieve, you can achieve. What Veda wants us is, they want all-round perfection in all the tasks you attempt. You may even ask, how is it possible? Veda says it is possible. What do we need to do? We need to remove the dasyus. In fact, why is our acharyas, or you go to the Madhadipati, Shankaracharyas, why do we go and get their blessing? They are so pure, then there is no dasyu in them at all. The moment they are always receiving energy, and they are by the blessing, by giving the blessing, you are getting the energy. But you can get these by you yourself sitting in meditation and chanting a mantra, learning the Veda mantra, or performing a yajna and let the priest chant the mantra and listen to the mantra. And so as these devas come, the dasyus will disappear, because it is obvious, when the light comes, darkness has to go. Now, how much light has to come, how much mantras you have to say, how long you have to say, all that is a separate issue that will, just like anything else, nothing happens overnight. We have got to develop a practice, whether it is yoga, whether it is Vedanta study, or whether it is neurosurgery, or whether it is accounting, or home cooking. Nothing happens overnight. You need to pray. In the same way, if you start to take the first step to understand the devas, to understand the yajna, and to understand the... so once they come, the dasyus go. When the dasyus within us start going away, we rise in consciousness levels. The bhuloga is bhuhu, bhuha, suvaha. Different levels of dasyus are there in all these. We have to get past this bhu, bhuha, suvaha. When we get to the mahar loga, which is the fourth loga, intermediate one, just like it is space travel, right? What they say, the main difficulty is to get the escape velocity. Once we get the escape velocity and you get past the Earth's gravity, then you don't need energy. You can keep on freely spinning. In the same manner, once we get rid of the dasyus, then you rise in consciousness. We have to first get to the Maharloka, then it is a journey from there is fairly easy. Tapoloka, then we get to Satyaloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, and then you are in the 7th level. You are almost perfect. You are living with the gods. In the 7th level, spirit and all that. And they have asked you to do yajna. You need to get to the priest. The Pancha-Mahayajna. Pancha-Mahayajna is the 5 great yajnas. What they say is we come with indebtedness to our parents, to the rishis, to fellow human beings, to fellow other creatures here, and Pidri Yajna, Deva Yajna, Nare Yajna, many of these Pancha Mahayajna, some of them we can do, simply put some seeds so that the birds come and take them, help the rest of the people and all that. Many many yajnas that we can do, many of these 5, those who can perform all 5, that will be great. Then, in summary, we have to divinize our life. Divinize our life doesn't mean that we sit in a corner and chant Jai Shri Ram or Hare Krishna, Hare Rama or Om Namah Shivaya 24/7. No. You do a life. Divinize your life means invite the devas. So you have only 5 minutes to do. Chant 1 Agni Mantra every day or 9 Agni Mantras and invite Agni. Once Agni comes, as the first says, Potaram, he is the caller of other gods. Which other psychological power is absent for us would be known to Agni. And Agni will invite those devas also. So once you start with this study of Vedas, then you gradually rise in consciousness level. Once you rise in consciousness level, your tasks get done with higher levels of perfection. So you get more rewards. Then when you get more rewards, you are happy and then you continue. So one can divinize life. And my book explains, and I will describe all this in detail. So this is an overview of what the Vedas say. I have taken about close to 30 minutes to provide you a detailed explanation. And Angurji, it may be a good time to take some questions. What do you suggest?
Yes, definitely. What a great presentation. Ike Oza says, absolutely true and excellent presentation. Oshokji says, very nice presentation. Sophia from Brazil says, she's been reading your book, Understanding the Vedas, and she's enjoying it quite a bit. Shailaji from South Carolina, thank you for joining. Kent, glad that you were able to stay on, find a data connection that works. Yeah, so let's take some questions. I ran that poll earlier. I can just share with you. Is this your first HUA webinar? 18 people, first timers. Thank you for joining us. 23 regulars. I know your names. Thank you for joining. 30 of you attended before. And then have you taken a course at HUA? 4 of you enrolled in programs, right? We want people to enroll in programs so that they have the clarity and confidence. In this course that Dr. Naraswami will be teaching, Understanding the Vedas, is part of the certificate program in Hindu studies. And those 32 people who are considering taking courses, I hope this is the one that gets you off the fence. We'll follow up and hopefully we'll get you into systematic, structured academic learning of Sanatana Dharma. And the 15 of you who don't want to take any courses, glad you were on for the webinar. Support HUA in whichever way you can be a part of this mission. And thank you for joining the webinar. Questions. So please put your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to put in the chat just a link to the course itself. It's going to be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern to 10:30. It's about an hour and a half. It'll start July 16th, so you have about 2.5 weeks to decide if this is the course you're going to take, but sooner the better. And so if you have your questions, please put in the Q&A box and we'll get through them. There are a few of you who have put it in. I think some of you put it in the chat box. That's a little harder for me to find. So please retype your questions in the Q&A box and we'll get into that. Ravidat is asking, is Veda voice of evolution of human beings? Something like, is Veda the voice of human evolution?
I don't know whether you see, we have got to get to the philology, philology of thing. How did the first man communicate? Is that it has to be in a language? There are questions all discussed in detail. The connection between human beings and the language is the thought is able to be communicated through a universal language, and from there different languages evolve. So I don't know whether we can say Vedas is the evolution, but Vedas, these rishis in their language was able to, the Devanagari script of Sanskrit, they were able to. So I have also been asked an analogous question. Does that mean that people who do not know Sanskrit will not be able to pick up the mantras? Now, undoubtedly, there are universal languages by which they may also be able to understand what language we can do. But at least our rishis were provisioned in the Prakrit or early language, not the classical language, and they conveyed these mantras in the Devanagari script and Devanagari language.
Wonderful. One of the quotes that I like on that language point, language is the old growth forest of the mind, right? So the
Yes.
words and language that we use develops and we build on it, it grows, and then we apply it. That's Wade Davis. I got that from a TED Talk, but the way that you're talking about it just reminded me. So I've launched a poll. If you're interested in enrolling in the course, let us know, yes, no, or other. Sophia is asking, is it required in the course to do recitation of the mantras? And maybe also more broadly, how do you grade? What are the assignments? What are the expectations?
Yes. You see, knowing the power of inviting the devas to ourselves. Please do not consider this as a religion or trying to convert you from one to the other. No, this is universal energy. Consider Deva as the supreme spirit. There is energy present. The wild animals take that energy. Our plants take that energy. Of course, how they get the oxygen, all those things, we don't want to get into details, but they all get energy that is universally available. In addition to whatever characteristics and consciousness we have come up with, this chanting a Veda mantra or inviting the Deva to ourselves is the way to draw this energy. So you are getting an added advantage that another person who is not contacting the Devas and connecting that energy. All of us are covered with dasyus. It may be in different levels. I may have more kama, more krodha, more vala, but all of us have little bit of all these things. We have some light also, but our goal is to, everyone says, I want to get rid of my anger. But you cannot just sit in a corner and say, I want to get rid of my anger and say 100 times. Anger will not go away. There's a very quick way. You get the light, invite a Deva, then you will see the anger gradually disappearing from you. Nothing is going to happen overnight. So chanting a mantra has a power, and I do not want to mislead you by saying in 12 weeks you will chant the mantra. But my goal is that everyone will be able to chant this one Agni mantra, the very first Agni mantra. Agnimi ile purohitam yajnasya. So every day morning after this thing, if you can do the 9 mantras in the book, I have given the first sukta. You see, the Rigveda mantras, 10,552 are on an average 10 to 15 mantras in a sukta. There are 1028 suktas. And the very first sukta is on Agni. And the very first mantra is the Agni mantra that I chanted. My goal is to teach one mantra in each class. So by 10 weeks, you would be able to, everyone will be able to chant these 10 mantras. And there is a requirement that you need to, there is no grade or marks for that. But even if you do not chant it with the full intonation and all that, I will try to give you the intonation. The best way to do that is to contact a local temple and a priest who may teach you the right way. But I will introduce you to this mantra, and it is my desire, because I have been chanting mantras all my life since the age of 11, and I have tremendously benefited. And I want all people, not only the people who attended my class, even those who attended this webinar, if there is some way for us to communicate, connect together, we will find a way. Because I have been teaching free from my home for the past 20 years. I have now stopped it, but I did a 12-week lecture in 2021 where about 400 people enrolled and about 200 people regularly joined, where I taught the same course in 12 weeks. So, but this is now offered at HUA. So we have ways, and to answer the question, everyone will be familiar with the first Agni mantra. Those who are more diligent and want to do that, they may be able to chant the first sukta. And if you continue that, 1 year later, you will see visible changes within you, which will allow you to do more mantras, and it will help you study of all other scriptures, including our Ramayana, including our Mahabharata, including our yoga, including our Upanishad. Because this is the foundation. This was the only book that was available for a long time. Therefore, the course requirement are, in the midterm, you have to write a midterm paper, which is on the first part of my book, and the final report on the second half of the book. So 2 reports are mandatory. The grading will be done and on the attendance and class participation. And everyone will have to chant one mantra. Those who want to chant more mantras, I will listen to that at the end of in the last week. One mantra, chanting of that mantra is a requirement, but that has no grade.
Great explanation. Actually, Dr. Naraswami, I'm in Los Angeles as well. We have some local mandirs like the Valley Hindu Temple. Maybe if you're up for it, we could plan an in-person event and get the local friends of HUA over here in Los Angeles going.
Yeah, everything. What I suggest, our goal is to spread Vedas, because we have waited for almost in the 20th century that until Aurobindo, and even though Aurobindo gave the spiritual psychology meanings 100 years ago, until Professor Kashyap translated all these 26 volumes. Even Aurobindo's books, it is not easy to read. Secret of Veda or Life Divine. You read those things. It is very, very difficult. He is a very high intellectual with a powerful English language, long sentences, very, very difficult to, before you go to the 3rd page, you'll have to go back to, hey, what did I read in the first and 2 pages? So deep. Therefore, while all credit for Aurobindo, because then only Kapali Shastri could follow him, then only Kashyap could follow him. Madhav Pandit and Kashyap could follow him. But it is Kashyap's books. And this is a funny part of it, though. I learned, I have been a practitioner, and I was looking for where is the wisdom. And Kashyap, I had an accidental meeting with Kashyap. Kashyap explained everything and then gave me all the books of Aurobindo and this Secret of Veda to read. I read everything. Then suddenly I had the aha moment that. Then when I found that Aurobindo's books are difficult, Kapali Shastris are equally difficult, Kashyap's are easier, but still maybe difficult one that I wrote. And many of my friends are saying, oh, your book is too complicated. So that is why I wrote a Vedas for Success, which is a smaller book, but still that is not adequate. I want to bring it down, and I will write another book to make it little bit more easier. Of course, in Amazon, you can see there are 60 or 70 opinions. And some people say, oh, I thought this is for beginners. It is not beginners. One such comment has come. So I felt very bad. I struggled all this to make it easier than what Aravindo, Kabali Shastri, and Kashyap has done. And I hear that, hey, you have to go down a little bit more. So that's our next project also. That's where we are teaching. Let's see how it comes.
Wonderful. Yes, exactly. Making it more accessible. Professor Haragopal says, excellent interpretation of the mantras. Thank you for that. Ravidat Mota is asking, is there any difference between Agni and light? Right? Like one of the ways that you interpreted the translation, Agni and light.
The Agni is also light. You see, please do not misunderstand. All this Deva, Agni is a Deva. So Deva has come from the word Div. Div means to shine in Sanskrit. Devas are translated as God. The moment it is translated as God, the harm is already done. Because when you see a God, we say that God is physically present at a place, and God has a personal qualities, and then some gods, maybe of course, if not in our religion, there may be other no powers of light. But to answer this question of the difference between light and Agni, Agni, the external manifestation is fire, but Deva Agni is, imagine Deva Agni as a supra-physical. There is no physical form. So even fire is not there. Supra-physical with consciousness, psychological power of willpower, and can transfer this from any place to anywhere because they are energies. So while we name them Agni, we name them Indra, we name them Surya, and Surya, what we see is the sun that we see is the external form, just like our body. That sun also has an internal form, the spiritual sun. This is the what we are seeing is the body of the sun. Just like you see my body, and you are not able to see. We are not able. We are also able to see the physical bodies of people, but we are not able to see the inner self. So in the same manner, all these devas are supra-physical beings with psychological power, ability to transfer that, and with consciousness. So Agni, every god has an external form. Saraswati is a goddess, worshipped in many places and all that. But Deva Saraswati is a supra-physical being. Deva is not a god. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Thank you for that clarification. Vimela is asking, can you make it affordable to teachers? What will the cost be? I dropped a link to the scholarship form. We have different kinds of scholarship. This is a $300 course. If you have issues, let us know. We might be able to find other scholarship and other exceptions. We want people to be participating and engaging. So there's information there, and you can reach out to me directly if you have any specific questions on that, financial issues. We'll see what we can do. Truptiji, if you miss any class or work for personal reason, you'll have access to the recording for the whole time you're an HOA student. I think we maybe a quarter, 2 quarters after, maybe even a year. I have to look into that, but definitely through the whole quarter system and a little bit after, you'll have access to class recordings in case you miss it. But we are focused on synchronous learning. We want you to zoom in and ask your questions so that you can have that dialogue and engagement in real time. Additional text. You have to buy any additional text. You're focusing on Understanding the Vedas, the book that you wrote. Are you making it accessible online in PDF as well through the learning management system, or are you requesting that the students?
No, it is only, I think they buy a book because I want them to keep this as a reference book, because this is not just for this quarter or the next quarter or until you get your graduation. I want this as a reference book. There are so much bibliography in that one, all those things. And keeping a book and with us is benefit. Even the royalties from the book I am distributing for charitable causes. So it is not for the money that I want you to buy the book. I want you to keep a book as a reference book, because our Vedas, if you own one book, why don't you want to know the original book of wisdom? At least what it explains try to explain in a very simple way rather than simply ritual. And it also explains about the rituals also in that one. So that book, again, this is many, many years of work with my professor and all that. So all the newfound understanding, which was the very original understanding of the rishis and which we lost after the rishi period, discovered by Aurobindo. To Aurobindo 1914-16, nothing happened. Then Kabali Shastri wrote few books in 46 and 47. Then nothing happened. Madhav Pandit wrote some books in between 70s, until Professor Kashyap single-mindedly from 1999 to 2012 translated all the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, Shukla Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, all the mantras in all of them. It's a 26-volume book. My recommendation is those who can afford to buy that, please buy the 26 volume also from Sakshi. I will give directions how to get it, or I can get it. Those who want, you write to me. I will try to get that and arrange it to send it to you. Keep that 26 volume. You can look at any mantra in that one and understand the spiritual and psychological meaning, well explained by Professor Kashyap. But it requires more effort. As I said, the old Veda is just like in a subject. It is just like saying, hey, teach me neurosurgery in 12 weeks. No, you get a start of what neurosurgery is in 12 weeks. I can give you an overview. But if you want to study neurosurgery, okay, do 12 years of high school, 4 years of college, another 4 years of medicine, then 6 years of specialization. We may not need that much to understand the Vedas, but you need to spend 2 or 3 years under a teacher. Then there is Veda, there is Vedanga, there is Upanga. All these are well described in my book. So I want you to keep that as a reference book.
Yeah, so the full title is Understanding the Vedas, Highlighting the Spirituality and Wisdom in the Vedas. I found it on Amazon very easily. There may be other places. Where do you recommend people get?
Yes, Amazon. Amazon is the
Easy.
place.
Yeah.
And I have also written a second book called Vedas for Success, which is a smaller. If you don't have the patience to read the 250 to 300 pages, this is about 85 to 90 pages, Vedas for Success, which contains the essential things and a few other things that are not in the other book. So these two together, if you are able to try, that will give you a very good start. And my recommendation is you should keep it. You should share it with your friends. You should tell your children. We want all of them to understand this Vedas. If they are explained to them in the right way, I am very sure we will have, and that is what HUA is trying hard. Ankurji is trying hard. We are all trying hard to spread the Vedas. That will give you the foundation to study every other scripture of Sanatana Dharma.
Yeah. Amazing. And we do have a lot of other courses. Nina is asking if this overlaps with the Introduction to Vedic Chanting. And I just looked it up. Yeah. Sri Aswaji is teaching that course. It's also on Tuesdays at just about the same time. So there is overlap. I don't think we're going to be able to change the schedule for either of these courses. We can look into it. Nina, thank you for bringing that up. But it's the challenges of offering many courses and trying to make it accessible to many time zones. These are the time slots that work. And so they do clash. Nina Ji, I hope you take one of the courses.
Ankurji, that is I add my support to your efforts to try with a change, because to me, Tuesdays. I have done it Tuesdays, and there are some advantages for my own schedules, other schedules. I don't know about Ashwath. If it is changeable, then taking this together would be a one-two way of getting a good start of the Vedas.
Oh, maybe make it back to back so we stagger the times a little bit.
Yeah, times change or whatever is it possible, or even Tuesday and Wednesdays. That which way, so that that whosoever asked that question, that is a very excellent question. If it is going on in the same semester, this will give them a one to the two good lessons needed for them to continue the Vedic chanting.
Okay, great. I will connect offline with Shriyaswaji and Sumedaji and see if we can figure out how to make it happen. Chetan Dave is asking, do you recommend taking the Sanskrit course before taking this course? So in Sanskritam, we have programs, right? We have a master's in Sanskritam, we have beginning Sanskritam, we have the Bhagavad Gita through Sanskritam. So I don't think you need to know Sanskritam for this course. Of course, it would help. Dr. Naraswami, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. It is not a requirement, because we teach in English, we explain everything in English. Our idea is to give you what is in the Vedas to get you interested and then start practice and all that. So your knowledge of Sanskrit is not essential for this course. However, Sanskrit is, I encourage all of you to take this beginning Sanskrit or one or two courses in Sanskrit. You have immensely the key to read all our scriptures, even Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana. And excuse me, Sanskrit is such a simple language. By taking one or two these beginning classes, you would be able to understand Valmiki Ramayana. You can read the source, and along with the English translation, your Sanskrit language, every study of our scriptures would be enormously beneficial to you for study of all those things, Sanskrit. So those who have the time, spend that time and take the first course and preferably a second course. Two courses that then you're up and running to read, and then with some English translations of Ramayana or Bhagavata, you would tremendously enjoy or even Bhagavad Gita. A very simple Bhagavad Gita is in very, very simple this thing. But with this one or two courses in Sanskrit, you would enormously start appreciating it rather than a simple translation that you read from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I think Truptiji and Vimalaji already bought your book online, so they're saying it's affordable, easy, nice to push that and get that knowledge out there. Again, Sunilji, the course is $300 for the quarter. I've dropped the link. It's on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. So just to clarify that, we have the poll open. Let us know if you're interested, very interested, however it is. Ike is asking, the divine powers are in, I know you asked a correction, circular motion, circulation, 2 hours or 1 hour before sunrise. It's known as Brahma Muhurat. Do you have any suggestions, any comments on the timing and when and how is best?
This is an advanced question. This person has studied our muhurtas and the Brahma Muhurta. Undoubtedly, anything that you do during that Brahma Muhurta has got a tremendously more power and that early time. However, the energy is always available, but you have to invite them, and if you do that on top of that in the Brahma Muhurta, it has a power of its own, not only for Vedic chanting. Even if you are studying very hard for your accounting exam, many of us are used to burning the midnight oil because I don't know whether I will be able to get up so early. Rather, going to sleep is under my control. So people are used to studying until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and get up 7 o'clock or so. If we can make a slight shift, go to bed at 10, 10:30 or so, get up at 4, 4:30 and start studying, the value of that, whatever you study in that 1.5 hours, is as good as your 3 or 4 hours at night that you spend to study that. So that is the answer to the Brahma Muhurta part, which has nothing much to do to say that the energy is only available at that time. That is not correct. It is because of the special confluence of factors, your grasp becomes much, much clearer and better and quicker. And Brahma Muhurta has its own other specialities of its own. All that together help you in so many ways. But the chanting of the mantra anytime, if you are ready to chant it only at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, that also is fine. Everyone may not be able to do the chanting at 4:30. But those who are able to do whatever they want to learn and study, do that in the Brahma Muhurta time. It is a very excellent point brought in here.
Great. Okay, we are at about 10:17 here. We've got maybe 5-10 minutes. Well, we will go 13 minutes max to the top of the hour. We have about another question, about 10 more questions. So I think we'll take the full time. We have Dr. Sam Kumar with his hand up. You can unmute yourself and ask your question if you are there and accessible. Otherwise, I can read your question shortly. VB was asking, if you unmute, I'll see that. So Dr. Kumar, okay, yep, see it. Go ahead, Dr. Kumar.
Yeah, that was an excellent presentation. Really, really excellent with all the points covered. I always had this problem of Dvaita and Advaita and Vasishtha Dvaita. And this has been explained in different forms in different places. Because you are an educated man, you know very well what you talk. Can you explain that to me, please?
You see, these are all systems propounded by acharyas, and for us to sit in judgment of them. For example, Advaita is propounded by Adi Shankara's guru, and Adi Shankara has promoted very heavily. Then Vishishtadvaita by Ramanuja, and Dvaita by Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya has also written on the spiritual meanings of Vedas. Among these acharyas, Madhvacharya is highly to be credited for having written Rigveda Bhashya and translating the first 40 sukta and giving all that. But Raghavendra Swami followed him up and all that, but they did not take it forward like Professor Kashyap, what he did about Aurobindo and Kabali Shastri. Otherwise, Madhva and Raghavendra Swami also have brought out the spiritual meanings of the Veda mantras. Coming back to your question, for us to say Advaita has to our smaller minds, to our not the level of the acharyas, Advaita makes a lot more sense to us. It appears to be more scientific and more appealing, but I am not going to say this publicly to a Vishishtadvaitin or a Dvaitin. They are following their acharyas statements, and very difficult for me to comment on that. But as you
let me just interject. Krishna Kashyapji, another faculty at HUA, has a course specifically on this. Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and as you articulated, the three different acharyas, and having that conversation as part of that course, not necessarily propagating one over the other, but in dialectic, what do they mean in terms of the duality, the non-duality, the overlapping nature of the universe?
Yes, I agree, Guruji. I know of Krishna Kashyap. We have spoken a couple of times. He is trying to do the justice to explain the viewpoints as advocated by the respective acharyas. You see, they are great, great people. So who are we to say? But to our small mind or to our whatever way of training, we have a preference for one or the other. So, but beyond that, Krishna Kashyapji, I'm sure will be giving this detailed exposition as per the Acharya's viewpoints.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for joining and asking your question and being part of at least this webinar, and hopefully further engagement with Hindu University of America. VB, I think they left. VB was asking, do the Vedas mention the word Hindu? We know it doesn't, right? Hindu is an exonym, what the external civilizations call us. An endonym is what we call ourselves. And even within there, if we say Sanatana Dharma or Vaishnava or Shaivite or whatever you describe yourself, there's a lot of nuance. And so if you want to talk about what do the Vedas call ourselves, right? You talk about, and you mentioned it's just knowledge and wisdom before it was ever written down, the oldest books of wisdom in the world. I think you said universal energy, universal knowledge type of things. But if you want to articulate that a little bit in terms of how we call ourselves and what do we call it and why do we call it what we do?
In fact, the Vedas only talk about everyone how to lead a life with all-round perfection in all tasks attempted. That their goal is to direct anyone. Anyone can follow this. And the words, why we say, are the epistemologic texts of Dharma. It talks about Dharma. You see, repeatedly you will hear the words that these devas, they stand for Satyam. You see, in fact, Dharma also, some people say it is Satyam. Dharma means Satyam. Dharma means duty. Even the word Dharma, it is a non-translatable word. So it talks about Dharma. Tado Dharmani Dharayan. There are Dharmas. What is the Dharma for Agni, all these devas? But it only talks about powers of light, supra-physical beings, which means energy, with consciousness, thing. So it does not talk about any religion. They want you to read, to do everything. Satyam tapas shraddhayam jihomi. So whatever you do, you must have Satyam. Tapas means, tapas, you have read from Puranas that these asuras, to get some gifts, they do in single leg for 30 years and all that. No, tapas only means, tapas means heat, but tapas means focused attention. Then shraddha, awareness. Be aware of what you do. You see, don't do anything, don't daydream something and do something else. No, be aware whatever you're doing. So Veda repeatedly says, Satyam tapas shraddhayam jihomi. So it exhorts everybody to follow truth, everybody to follow tapas and shraddha. Any task that you do with Satyam tapas shraddhayam, and they say dharma, then do the yajnas, divinize your life. Invite these energies, invite these supra-physical beings. So, because they are supra-physical beings with a psychological power. So, each have different psychological. Agni has a divine willpower. Indra has divine mind. So, your mind will become purer and purer. Your thoughts will become. So, by inviting Agni and Indra, Saraswati is the power of aspiration, intelligence. Then Surya, power of illumination. Soma, power of delight. So each deva has a specific psychological power associated. And these are all psychological powers that are useful to a human being. So by connecting with these energies who help bring out, in fact, all of us have these energies, but they are all covered by our dasyus. We want to cut the corners. We want to get quick schemes. We are jealous of another person's success. For all of us have this kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. They are called the shadribhus. They are considered your enemies. Get rid of them. All our scriptures tell that. But there is no easy way to get rid of them. But the Vedas shows them that they are called coming under dasyus. They are powers of darkness. So, to remove our dasyus, to remove the powers of darkness that envelop, which prevent our getting the energy, from outside or from the devas to enter to come to us. So you have to get a deva, you have to get Agni, then some dusty will go away, the darkness will go away. So that is, that's all what Veda says. Veda does not talk about if you don't do this, you will be punished. Nothing. You want to, hey, you lead a life. You can lead a life of bliss. You can lead a life of success all round, not simple success. Take the case of Einstein. Einstein is only known for his theory of relativity. But Veda is not satisfied with that. They want you to do all round perfection in all tasks attempted by you. We cannot even visualize what that will be. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen in this lifetime, but we believe in reincarnation. So whatever, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do in this life is not a waste. You start the next life from where you left off. So it is a continuous process. So we can get to that all-round success. So Veda wants all of us, whosoever studies Veda, it says, Satyandava Shraddhayam. So you have to, if you are following Veda, you are a Veda practitioner, try to, I'm not saying I'm a Veda practitioner, I'm still a human being, so I still have some of the dasyus. But I'm trying to follow what Veda says, Satyandava Shraddhayam, and you divinize your life, invite the Veda mantras and do your puja before I start my day. So I try to follow the Vedic instructions. It is available for everybody to follow.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a continuous process. So we hope you will continue to participate with Hindu University of America, join our webinars, enroll in this course, enroll in another course. We're near the top of the hour. Kent asked, will local temples accept non-Hindus or bring non-Hindus into worship? I think yes. Almost every local temple has its own processes and procedures, but you know, Hinduism and temples tend to be pretty inclusive. Kent, if you haven't visited a local mandir, go check it out. Let us know how it is. We still have a few questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of them. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating and engaging and asking so many interesting questions. And you know what? I'm going to just encourage you to participate with HUA, take a course, enroll in something, join an event that we're going to be having, get on our email list. We are on this continuous process, this mission, this to share Sanatana Dharma. And so with that, let me hand it to Dr. Ramakrishna Naraswami to close us out, maybe with a mantra, a shloka, or closing thoughts. And then, so thank you so much. It was a great pleasure. What a wonderful webinar. I think the last time we had a webinar, you were a little sick. You still powered through it. I really felt this time you were able to answer everything, and you're really good today. I really appreciate it. I'm hoping we'll be able to get a good enrollment for this course. All of that, Dr. Ramakrishna Naraswami, let me hand it to you to close us however you see fit.
Yeah, I'll do some closing. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amrutam gamaya, sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukhabhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What these closing prayers mean is, Asatoma Sadgavya, lead me from unreal to real. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from darkness to light. That is all what Veda says. Remove the dasyus, invite devas, and you divinize your life. It is simple. That's all contained in Tamasoma. Mrityorma Amritangamaya, from death to immortality. Then Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, let people all over be Sukhina, be happy. Bhadrani Pashindu, Sarve Bhavantu Sarve Santu Niramayaha, let everybody be without any sickness. Sarve Bhadrani Pashindu, let me see everybody good tidings. Ma Kashchid Dikvaved, let unhappiness come anywhere near us. That is the closing prayers. This is so religion neutral. It only wishes Loka Samastha Sugino Bondhu. This is the let everybody be happy, let everybody enjoy a blissful life. With this, let's close the session. Thank you, Angurji, for guiding this very well. Your role is very critical, and I enjoyed this. And the attendees, all of them, I thank them all.
Thank you. Dhanyawad. Namaste, everyone.
No, then, okay.